Namaste, my name is Arunima, and today in the video we are going to discuss about how to deal with today's teenagers. Yes, that's the topic today, and let's dive into it deeper. Hi, so let's get started. How to deal with today's teenagers. Okay, so the topic actually comes from many parents, and I've been a teacher, for like more than a decade. So that is one of the reasons why, I really wanted to answer it. As a parent myself of two sons, and one of them is going to be soon a teenager. Obviously, it will take a few years, but in the preteens also. So I've been an informed parent and started conscious parenting from many years because I've been into courses and books. So today it seems like an apt topic to be picked up so that people at large can be benefited. So as far as I can see the topic, how to deal with teenagers, I think we are looking at the teenagers as a set of people who are posing challenges to whom? To teachers and maybe to the parents. So that is why we are here to discuss. I see mainly 3 points on which we need to discuss, the exact way of dealing with the teenagers. What are these problems, okay? Or what are these influences? So the very first influence that I see is, the difference between their world and our world, okay? Quote unquote, our world and their world. That's the first thing. The second thing I see as, we as parents, and the third thing that I see is let's talk about human psychology. So why are these problems coming up at all? Okay, so let's start with the first point, wherein we are going to talk about how their world is different from ours. Okay, their world is different from ours. Obviously, the first point within this, that is the sub point, is internet. Internet creates a huge difference. Digitalization and post-COVID especially, the entire idea that these kids are having one device each in their hands creates a huge gap, like a magnanimous gap between us and between them. So data or knowledge is available to them freely. In fact, I remember when I had to prepare for debate or, any speech contest or something like that. Oh my God, I had to first talk to many people around and I had to go to the library. At our point of time when I was in school, frankly, it was very difficult to prepare for a speech. But it was the passion within me that transformed me into a speaker, right? Now, in today's world, what happens? We thought, we generally tend to think that the more we are going to provide, the better it would be for, people. The more resources, the better it is. But look at this. As a teacher, I can tell you, I've been an English educator for a very long time. I must tell you that there are a number of students, when we ask them to get to prepare for a speech or something like that, they literally go and copy paste stuff from the internet and they just come and read that content out. And let me get, not just the kids, let me tell you about how school systems and how parents are developing. 2 years ago in a certain school, I was the one hosting inter-school debate competition. Okay. And 20 days before the debate competition, when I was, really busy getting all the admissions and people, entering it, 17 or 18 schools had participated in it. I got parents' calls and I also got teachers' calls from the school to ask me, ma'am, is it possible that my child carries a paper with him? 3-minute speech. Let me tell you, I have also existed in this very world, and I'm sure some of you who are listening to me who have been speakers in their own lifetimes, you know very well that we never cared to carry a script in our hands. It's not only that the students, the children have changed, parents, educators have changed. Is the attitude a big, huge difference between our world and their world? Okay, so there's a huge gap in the attitude. So the fact that internet may not have actually brought about the kind of blessing that we are looking forward to it as. At the same time, I would also tell you that ever since COVID happened and so many courses turned online, I've had mentors over all the world. Yeah, all those courses which I thought I could never go and attend in the other side of the globe, I attended. Yeah, so despite being a school teacher, I manage somehow financially, and I've taken courses which people cannot think. I'm a past life regression therapist, and I have read so many books. I've done so many courses now, international courses and national courses, that I eventually realized that I don't want to be a school teacher anymore. So that's the boon of internet. But the fact is that it required a mature and wise brain. It required a human being that has suffered enough to know what is right from wrong. So I had the quality of discernment which kids do not have. So the fact that when devices are in their hands, obviously there is a lot that can go wrong, as compared to what can go right. There's a huge gap between their worlds and our worlds. In fact, one of the subscribers, I was just, when new people come as subscribers to my channel, one of the subscribers I was looking at was a boy. And I don't know why did I just go and look forward to his profile. And his profile, he had all kinds of channels with all these girls, these babes on the beach. And one of the channels was about a mother and son. Can you believe that? One of the channels was about teacher and student kind of relationships. Mother and son kind of relationships. I was just staggered. I was wondering, my God, can we really have a world out there like that, which is so freely available to our kids? And then we ask, why is there so much of a gap? And I know parents who do not keep any check, any control over the content that the kids are watching. Content is such a big thing. It is like food to your brain. Jaisa ann, vaisa man. The kind of food that you eat, the kind of body you are going to develop. So the kind of content that your kids are going to take inside is the kind of person they are going to develop into. As a teacher, I can tell you, and I really don't want to, raise this issue, but as a teacher, I must tell you that I think I felt happier teaching university students. They were maturer and they had more self-respect and, more respect towards teachers than some of the children today, because they, frankly speaking, they watch some nonsense content online, and I think they look at the teachers, at the senior girls, at the class girls in the same manner. So can you expect our kids to be just the same if they have internet in their hand? So what can be done about this? We can keep a check, a parental check, maybe like the way I do in my children's devices. Both of them have one device, one laptop, one iPad. But the fact that, they have logged in through my account. So I can always go and check the history, and I always do that. Yes, it takes more time, but you have to find out the time. So that's one thing which makes our world and their world different. Our world and their world is different in many more ways. They are far more pressurized, let me tell you that. And we tend to think, no, in our lifetime also, in our times also, there was this, rat race and stuff like that. No, their world is far more pressurized. Please let me tell you as a teacher. And there are so many parents who actually literally pressurize their kids. I have been a teacher and I have seen parents coming to me and asking me, before they ask the children's marks, they ask other children's marks. So what is the highest? Let me please look at the entire class list and let me see. And they, do you think your child is, you are getting your child to become, a horse for a race? 2 marks lesser than the topper, 3 marks lesser than the topper, these kind of things. Fortunately, my parents were not like that. I think my parents were much more chilled, and I'm also a chilled parent. But the fact is that conscious parenting does not mean to make your child a horse. Please be mindful of that. How are their worlds different from us? Because, and there are many more, and, I think I'm just opening up a debate on this. I'm just opening up, a place, a venue for everyone to think about it. Their world is very different. They are leading a very fake life on social media. In our lifetimes, at least, we just had, the girl in the neighbor and the girl who is going on the same bus stop. My mother could have had only that much of, this thing to compare me with. And maybe my immediate classmates, I could compare myself with, oh, she's slimmer. I never thought like that. But, oh, she's speaking better than me and stuff like that. Today, there's an entire world open to them on Instagram. So, oh my God, the kind of figure that you should have and the kind of clothes that you should wear and the kind of quotations that you should pick and choose and write with there's a lot that they have to do. Whether it's fake or whatever it is, but that is their world. So please understand. And if it felt odd to you, like I remember my mother used to get, whenever someone would come, and all three of us, I and my elder sisters, we were very good at singing. So like, my mother would say, tell the guests that towards the end, I'll get my kids to sing a song. And I was such it made me so nervous that I used to generally sing very badly. And everyone went in with an impression that the youngest daughter, like that was me, does not sing well. Now that was between, like maximum 8 to 10 people could have been there. Now today they have the entire society to compare themselves with. Do they have the right kind of earrings? Are they wearing the right tags? And if the parents are not coming from, a financially strong section, oh my God, you are not carrying tags and you're not carrying, all these, I don't know, all the kinds of brands. I'm not even, I don't even know about them so well. So the fact that they also have a false sense, we also did have to a certain extent. Please do not compare. It may have been a little different in our times, but it was there. But today's world, it is out there. Okay. And I know girls, I know boys who do not have an Instagram account and they feel very less because their parents did not allow them. So the world is very different. Please let us begin from that premise that they are leading a life in a different world altogether, and consequently they are different. Okay. So let me just open that debate and tell you that it makes a huge difference. Okay. Coming to the second thing, that I talked about was we as parents. We as parents are frankly very different from what our parents were. We had like very difficult parents, most of us, and the fathers were there as an entity, whom the mother would bring into the picture when the child was not listening. Most of the time, this was the scene, okay? So, if the father was involved, then it was a big issue. Oh my God, he was like a disciplinarian. He was like, are you not listening? Kind of a scene. So, if the father came to know, oh my God, it was a big thing. But today's fathers are also very different, I think. Today's fathers are the ones who are going to pamper the kids, and the mothers have to take the role of both, the disciplinarian and also the one who gives the love. So I think we need to do something about it. I don't know, like whatever you think is proper should be done about it. I'm not trying to say that the previous order was better. I'm not trying to say that. But what I'm trying to say is we need to take responsibility through the intention of love. Intention really matters. And why do I say so? Why do I find myself to be the right person to say that? Because as a teacher, I have seen the most difficult and complex students like becoming into the most loving child ever. I had this one child when I started teaching, and when I started teaching, I literally did not used to look like a teacher. And I remember on the very second day, when I went to the school as a teacher, so-called, the guard stopped me and said, "Why are you not in uniform?" I was above 25 and they're still saying, "Why are you not in uniform?" So I was that kind of a teacher, and you can understand class 11th and 12th students would not, like really think of this kind of a teacher as a teacher. So there was this really complex guy, I remember, but dealing with them with love and showing that you are wise, you are friendly, you respect them. Intention really matters. Like I think it was only 2 months later, I was teaching a chapter. There is one chapter in class 11th. I think the Browning version is the name. And it talks about teachers. So, we were just discussing teachers. Out of nowhere, this boy, stands up and starts off that, you are the ideal teacher and stuff like that. Of course, it boosted my ego a lot. And as a new teacher, it really meant a lot for me. But the same child whom everyone thought, obviously, the rest of the class was like, found it so awkward and funny. What is he doing? But that was one day I really believed that yes, if you have good intentions, good things will happen. You need to stand on your good intentions. I have seen many parents having this entire idea, hum apne zamane mein kya the? Like, we used to do all these things. Today's kids are not doing things. Stop comparing. That is why the first thing I talked about was the difference in their worlds. We are very different from our parents. I have met a lot of parents who believe that these things were not provided to us, so we are going to provide all these things to our kids. Do not do that. Sometimes scarcity is the reason of growth. If you look at, there's this small story that I would really want to talk about. The story about a plant, two plants which were bought by two people on the same day. Both of them put it in their own gardens, and they were showering with water. One of them was giving just adequate water. The other one was giving immense water, and the flowers started coming up in the plant and so on and so forth. And then both of them went for, a small trip. They came back after 1 week. The first plant, which was not given enough water, survived. The second plant, which was given a lot of water, perished completely. Now the second one wondered, why is it like that? Why is it that this plant is surviving and my plant, which I had given so much of water, is not surviving? And the reason is very clear, because the first person gave only enough water so that the plant develops its own roots, develops its own foundation. And the second one, what did he do? He provided so much that the plant never got an opportunity to grow roots. Please give the opportunity to your kids to grow roots, to become strong individuals. If you give them everything to do, will they ever think that we need, literally sometimes I use this savage comment on kids who are like really not behaving well in the class and are showing off and stuff. I tell them, how much do you earn in a day or in a month or in a year? Please tell me. And they don't have any answers. And I have to tell them that whatever money and whatever things you are carrying belong to your parents. Let me tell you, children are reflection of the parents. If the parent is full of attitude and arrogance and thinks, oh my God, I've captured the world, what else is left? The child will also be like that. Let me tell you, there is no, exception to this rule. I'm sure there are exceptions, but if the parent is like that, the child is liable to be like that. So, not just this, there are many more points that we really need to ponder. Okay, and why am I talking about so many things? Because we need to, it's like a checklist for everyone to think, are we there, are we not there? The next thing that in the same comprising we as parents, we really need to ask ourselves questions like, are we providing things very easily? Right? So then obviously they will never think that there is anything that I want to achieve in my life. And this is a difference that I've precisely seen in students. Those students who are coming from background where the parents are not giving everything frankly, or if they are giving things, they are giving it with a responsibility that you have to, keep it properly and things like that. And talking about we as parents, I remember one parent 2-3 years ago said something to me. I just started teaching that class and he says something like, I give 5.5 lakhs, something like that, to the school every year. And I cannot see my son speaking in English. And the answer that I gave him was, that does not get credited in my account. Sorry to say that. And I have a class. Every day I take only 40 minutes of a class. And in 40 minutes, I have 20 kids to deal with. So your child is not the only one. He will also have to take responsibility. So do not think that, once you provided money to the school, then the school will take care of it all or the child will take care of it all. You have given birth to the child, so your responsibility is the supreme most. In fact, as a teacher, if I tell you frankly and honestly, schools do not have much to do with the child's growth and further, future perspectives. I've seen most of the times, those parents who are like really conscious parents, they actually make a huge difference in the children's lives. That is one bare truth that will never change. Children learn the most from their parents. They are reflections of their parents the most. So we need to take charge. What are we presenting to them as an example really matters. Okay. And on the same lines, there are so many things we need to ponder. One very important talk that we really need to have with our kids is related to sex education. Sex education is such a must. And why do I say so? The entire idea of this duality in the mind of the kids, or even in the mind of the parents, I think it starts with the parents only. That we are different, you are different. Please erase that boundary. Remember that day when you got the child for the first time in your hand. Did you think that this child is going to be that kind of a child whom you are talking about today? Doesn't listen to me. I found some parents who tell me, oh, that child listens to you. You can do something about it. Please do not be that parent. Because it has to be you, frankly. You decided to be a parent. The child did not come to you to say, please make me, your child. It was your decision, conscious or unconscious, to become a parent, and you are in total responsibility and charge. So the fact that when I coming back to sex education, I think it's very important to talk to children about all these things. Because as aforementioned, when there is so much of content available, which may not guide your child to the right place, you as a parent can make a huge difference. I have talked to my own sons related, regarding periods and regarding childbirth and regarding all these things that boys may misunderstand. What is their age? 8 and 10. They need to know about it. Before internet tells them something else or some bullshit is told to them about, by their classmates. So the entire idea that, you need to guide them. There was a scene in Spider-Man, I don't remember which one, wherein Spider-Man kisses some girl, okay, some other girl who's not the girlfriend. And the younger one, my younger one being, maturer than the older one, he said, oh my God, how can he do that? And the elder one said, what's wrong in it? He has not proposed to his girlfriend. And I had to explain to them, get into the depths of intimacy, relationship, loyalty. You have to tell them. If you don't tell them, if you shy away from it and think that, oh my God, how can I do that? Then guess what? They'll get the wrong information and they'll become the wrong kind of people. So we as parents can create huge differences in our children's lives. We really need to look at all these things. We need to stop being the consumers, stop looking at them from the consumer perspective. Is this child performing well? Is this child being respectful? We need to start back thinking that we are the producers. So the quality in it matters. How do we do that? How do we do that? Let them become their authentic selves, what they actually are. I also know of parents, I also have talked to mothers such as who say, yeah, she constantly, every week she has a new crush in the school. Such a cool mother, and she's saying, I know, there's no one right now, abhi to koi nahi hai. So the mother is knowing about the daughter. That's such an open-minded parenting, and I think we all need to be, parents of that type. We need to talk about things very openly with our kids, whether it be your son, whether it be your daughter. The other thing, again, we as parents, I've really noticed between, in parents is something like, please take the authority. Be in the authority position, okay? Do not transfer the authority out of yourself. Like one of the parents had once told me, ma'am, my child is always opting for buying this pen worth 20 rupees. Can you please talk to him because he's in your class and ask him to take those pens worth 5 rupees? What can I do as a class teacher? Only because the child loves me, so he should listen to me and I should go on to talk about the 5 rupee pen. Do not transfer the authority outside. Do not bitch about your child to the teacher, especially in front of the child. You keep the child and then you are discussing, kuch nahi karta, padhai nahi karta, holds the mobile phone all the time and this, that and the other. So the child feels that my parent is not my parent. They do not understand. If you really want your child to understand, then go and talk directly. Have that talk. Have that final talk. It's absolutely important. Why do you want to keep it all inside and expect your child to understand? That's so illogical, no? The child will not understand. You keep shouting at them all the time and you expect the child to understand that I love the child? No. And, so the fact that, and I really, in those situations, I try to pacify the situation, as I've tried to pacify situations like this as a teacher, saying that, no, Sunny, I'm sure you have to guarantee, you have to, and I've seen children, I've seen such transformations in my life, and I would not take any credit for that because every child has a potential. You need to show the child, yes, I have faith in you. Yes, I believe in you. Beta, please do it. Don't show that attitude, oh my God, I think you are not going to be anywhere. I think you are going to be irresponsible all your life. Whatever you say will come true. You are instilling, you are the second nature of the child. Do you know what is the meaning of second nature? You are actually building up the foundation inside the child. So what the child is today, the child is reflecting your parenting, what you are. So there are a lot of things that we need to think of as parents, and it's like, you need to be conscious that whatever your child is today, that reflects your mental health. That is to be as frank as, anything. I remember one of these girls 2-3 years ago, she was in my class and she would not answer to teachers at all. She would just sit quietly all throughout the day. When I talk to the mother, she says there's instances of high level abuse in the family. So I said, why don't you do something about it? And she's saying, what can I do? She didn't realize that the child, when this girl is coming to the school and speaking nothing, frankly, when she'll get married, she will be one who is going to receive a lot of abuse. We need to look at these matters. I've seen some parents think that, because there's a lot of problems at home, let me send my child to some residential school. Do you know what happens in residential schools? Especially the boys. Do you know what happens in the boys' hostels? Please think about it twice before making all these kind of decisions. It's really, do not resort to shortcuts. There's a huge load of responsibility which is there. I always say that in front of everyone, and I'll say it today again. We require a license for driving cars, but there is no license for becoming a parent. There are no courses, compulsory courses before you become a parent. So please ask yourself, do you know enough of it? A lot of parents are parents without even wanting or thinking of becoming parents. That's the reality, especially in India, right? So instead of wondering how to deal, if you really want to deal from the depths of your heart, you need to get to that emotional point, connect with your child, and you can use the magical words like sorry and thank you. And I'm sure some people still who are, operating from their ego will think, this is the way she talks. I'll tell you. 1 year ago, my child was like 9-year-old only, but he was into a situation he was not listening. I was like really tensed with a few things in my life, very difficult at that point of time. And around 4 to 5 of his teachers said the same thing. One teacher sent me a video saying that this is the way he behaves in class. He has attitude, quote unquote attitude. 9-year-old child. Very easy for a 9-year-old also to get misguided. And obviously I cried. I went to the washroom and I cried a lot. Oh my God, this is the situation. And what should I do? Because before that I had shouted at him once. It didn't work. And slapping kids, of course at times it does happen. I do lose myself, but that's very rare. So what I did was I took him out of the house while the nanny was looking at the younger one. We went and sat in the open, and I told him one of my life secrets, which I've never told my mother also. When I was in bad company in an age like his, and I said, I really want to tell you this, Chinmay, because it was my own learning which I have not shared with your nanny also. And I say, I trust you that you will never share it with anyone else, and you will just understand what I'm feeling at this moment. And there were tears in my eyes, and I said, I'm sorry that I could not pay attention to you because of certain problems of my life, but please do not punish yourself for this. No, and that is not drama at all. And I still feel very emotional when I say all those things. But your emotions need to be there. It should not be like a revenge. Oh my God, my child is not listening. Why is the child not listening? Are you looking at the child from the perspective the child looks at the world? When the child looks at his parents and the parents are always shouting, when the child looks at the parents, the mother is always giving savage comments. You are going to get me to die one day. I'm going to commit suicide because of you one day. Well, frankly, if these are the comments that you're making, then you really need to review yourself first. Coming back to human psychology, okay? Now, number of other things. I think the video is already too long, but let me get to this last point, human psychology. And that's something that I actually started looking after, in the last 3-4 years, when I started awakening to, what the world is like and how insensitive and cruel is the world actually in which we are living. I look at the entire system, this entire system of discipline, this force and everything. I mean, what for? Okay, we want our children to be disciplined. As a teacher, I would say I cannot allow everyone to go to the washroom, right? I cannot enter the classroom and say, okay, one by one, all of you can go. But that also means that if I am denying one child who's going to probably go and have fun in the washroom, then there may be a certain child who's actually made to hold a washroom. You understand that? The school operates from that perspective as well, discipline. At home, no child is going to ask whether I can go to washroom. The fact that there are instances of feeling inadequate, which our system puts on the children, and I'm sure even on the adults. And again, you would say that I have faced so many problems. Did you face problems so that you could also instill problems on your children? Human psychology is far and wide. Please stop thinking of your children as your children who are supposed to be making you proud. There is this famous quote by Khalil Gibran. I do not remember the entire one. I'll put it here. Your children are not your children. It's spoken by Khalil Gibran in one of the very famous poems. They come through you, but they do not come to you. They are... they're also a soul by themselves. That is what he wants to say. He says something like, they have their own dreams and they have their own capabilities and potentials. And do not crush those potentials. Do not try to make a photocopy of yourself. Okay, so this is Chinmay and this is Sanvid. They represent Arunima Sinha. They do not represent me. They represent themselves. They have come with a separate set of abilities. Let them be themselves. The best parenting is wherein you have no expectations. The best parenting is not where you produce kids for a retirement policy. The typical and very savage thing that I really want to say is they don't want daughters here because they'll have to give so much of dowry. And that's such a wrong thing, Why don't you get your daughters to become so strong that they also understand the faulty dowry system? And we want sons. Why do we want sons? Because there are retirement policy. We'll get a daughter-in-law who will get a lot of money, and then both of them will serve us when we'll be old. The best parenting is parenting without expectations, and that is something that I'll always keep saying. So what can we actually do to deal with the teenagers? First of all, understand everything that I said with depth. Two things that we actually need to do is, we need to have a conversation, a frank conversation, without losing our patience with them. Tell them that we love them. At any point of time, if something wrong happens, I'm there. Okay, because there are teenagers who are committing suicide and all. They probably do that because they don't have enough faith in their parents. And so you need to build up that faith. How will you build up that faith? If you really ask emotionally to yourself, you'll be able to get the answer. The second thing that is even more important, the most important, is heal yourself. Heal yourself. You may not have been able to live up to your dreams. Maybe your parents crushed your dreams. And maybe your parents got you married to the wrong person. There are so many things that may have happened. But do not punish your children for them. Please understand, they are separate entities. And I'm sure some people will find this very cruel, but think about it. If you are not happy yourself, you can never rear a happy child. And I think I would stop there. That's it for today. If you agree or disagree with me, please let me know in the comments. Please do subscribe to my channel if you find the content worth value. Also, please do share. And obviously the channel is meant for, mental and spiritual content, but all these kind of sociological content and emotional content and psychology content is most welcome. If you really feel that I should make a video on a certain topic, please do let me know. Thank you so much. Please do subscribe to my channel. Bye-bye.